Hello, my name is Alicia Cecil, and I am an MSW student. And I'm going to share my screen. Maybe. Okay. So, the ethical dilemma that I am going to be speaking about includes a coworker who is employed as a peer support, and she was dating a client in the agency that I am interning at and that she is employed at. So the client, he's in a substance use treatment programming doing PHP, and he's been here for about 4 months. The staff has been a peer support for about 8 months and has been employed at the facility for around 14 months. The peer support was asked about the relationship and denied it. And then 2 weeks later, she put in her 2-week notice. And then right after she resigned, she was seen at a public restaurant with the client and another client having dinner and celebrating a birthday. So after she was seen out in public, the staff that used to be employed then admitted to other staff members that she was friends with that she was in fact in a romantic relationship with the active client at the agency that I'm interning at and that she was previously employed with. In the employee handbook at the place that I'm interning at, which is True North Treatment Center, it states that any dual relationship with a current or former client is prohibited. And then there's ethical conduct, and this is considered a variation of conduct unbecoming of a True North employee. So this is something that you would be terminated for if you did. In the 201 KAR 23080 section 2, there's a client relationships part that says a client who directly receives a social work service shall be deemed to continue to be a client for a period of 5 years following the last date of service actually rendered. So even if he was not an active client, he would need to be considered to be a client for at least 5 years following the actual date of service. The NASW Code of Ethics 1.06 Conflicts of Interest states that social workers should not engage in dual or multiple relationships with clients or former clients in which there is a risk of exploitation or potential harm to the client. And when dual or multiple relationships are unavoidable, social workers should take steps to protect clients and are responsible for setting clear, appropriate, and culturally sensitive boundaries. So this is something that I definitely feel that she did not do. The steps that I took in my decision-making process include analyzing the situation, learning about the regulations and the ethics behind this dilemma, also discussing it with my supervisor and what needed to be done in the situation, or like what different routes could have been taken. This situation did not, in my opinion, prevent harm to the client, promote well-being of the client, or respect the client's rights and dignity in the agency. I feel that the staff member took advantage of the client and did cause harm to the client because after the fact of everything that happened, the client then become he was like not happy to be in the office, and he was not the typical friendly, outgoing, sociable person that he was in the agency with our staff. And even made the comment that people needed to stay out of his business. If I were the supervisor and an employee came to me with this dilemma, I would assist the supervisee in determining the appropriate course of action by first getting all the information and all the facts, assessing the professional and ethical violations, and taking immediate action to reassign the client to someone else and terminate the staff from employment and supervision. I would also report this dilemma to the social work board. just because I felt like they would need to know as well. One way that I could encourage professional growth and development with this dilemma would be to advise the employee of reviewing the code of ethics and laws involved with this field of practice. I would also advise the supervisee to discuss potential conflicts before acting on them so that this could have been avoided. I understand like when something comes up inside of you working with clients that you should discuss that with supervisors so that you can reevaluate that situation, get somebody else's input and feedback and thoughts on what's going on to kind of prevent something like this from happening. So before the relationship was even formed, like if it was even a thought, that would have been when I would have come to my supervisor and like wanted to discuss, hey, what should I do about this? This is how I'm feeling. And then this could have been avoided. Specific skills that I would use in working with my supervisee would include holding my supervisee to the same standards of care and skills that I'm also expected to abide by based on the statutes and regulations in our jurisdiction. I would also make sure to document everything that has happened because they say if you don't document it, it didn't happen. And everything that I was informed of regarding the relationship, I would also include that in my documentation. And I would make sure to evaluate the supervisee's performance in a respectful manner. In dealing with this specific situation, I would help the supervisee learn ethical decision making for the future by identifying and exploring problems, looking at issues, values, principles, and regulations. There's all kind of information out there that when you have questions about relationships or conflicts of interest or giving gifts or accepting gifts, like all different types of dilemmas, and a lot of information on how to deal with those dilemmas or to avoid the dilemmas, and knowing exactly what is okay and what's not okay in this field of practice. In working with my supervisee, I would not handle this differently if the supervisee were of a different race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, etc., because I personally feel that the ethics are clear and understandable, and no matter what kind of background or diversity the supervisee was involved in, I would show respect and I would present the facts in a clear and concise way to not only the supervisee, but all parties involved. So, my employer, my supervisor, anybody that's involved. So, I mean, I would take in consideration if the supervisee was from like a different culture and had different beliefs. But at the end of the day, this is the state that we're practicing in, and the rules and regulations are set clear. And so I feel like they have to go by what is written. So, and then on the last page are all the references that I have. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you. Have a good day.